Okay, I think I'm recording. This tripod I do not like. You can't zoom unless you turn the camera backwards, and then you can't see the view of what you're recording. But we're going to try this. Guys, this is for y'all. I don't remember. I don't know if you guys remember how Mama used to fry her chicken strips, but basically cut the chicken breast up in strips. If you can't see that, here it is here. Use some Slap Your Mama or Tony Sasher. It's real simple, quick. You can soak them in some buffalo or hot sauce before if you want them to be hot, hotter than this, but this is pretty spicy right here. And then I just take and put them in the flour that I seasoned with this too, just a tiny bit. Be careful with the seasoning because you will get it too salty, especially with that Slap Your Mama. It's got a lot of salt in it. Tony Sasher's doesn't have as much. I'm just trying to use that one up though and get it out of the way. It's not my favorite. So first you dip it into the flour, and then you dip it into, this is 2 eggs and probably about maybe a 3/4 cup of milk or something like that. I'll just pour some milk in. I don't measure it. So the flour first, then the egg and milk, then back in the flour. So that's how I do that real quick. And basically, so if you don't want to get your fingers dirty because it is messy, you can use a fork, but it's kind of cumbersome and it takes longer. But I have these little tongs over here. I've already got some frying, but so this kind of helps keep your hands from getting flour all over the kitchen. Use one of these. See, here's a piece. You just put it in there in the flour. I've already seasoned it with. Don't go crazy with your seasoning, Michael. That's for you. Don't go crazy with the seasoning. Just put a tiny bit of Slap Your Mama on the chicken and a tiny bit in the flour. And then dip it in the flour first. Then dip it in your eggs. I put 2 eggs because the chickens are laying good. And maybe not quite a cup of milk. See, got that much in there. Then put it back in the flour. And now I'm going to try to take you over to, let me wash my hands real quick. I'm going to try to bring you over to the cast iron skillet and show you some that I've got frying in there now. And I may show y'all how to do green tomatoes later. Let me see if I can bring this over there without having to take it down. Alright, so you can see in my cast iron skillet, I've got it frying up real good. If I was doing a whole chicken with bone in it, I would probably go ahead and use that lid back there. And that lid will help, like, cook it, the inside better. It's nothing worse than getting a raw piece of chicken, right? You bite it, it looks so yummy, you bite into it, and then the blood's running off the bone. So if you use a lid when you're frying chicken and don't fry it too hot, fry it on about, right now I've got this one from between 4 and 6, but I may turn it down because it's getting kind of hot. I'm fixing to, let me see if y'all can see me flip it. If I set this down here, you can't see the pan. You can over here some. Trying to get used to this tripod thing. Okay. I've already flipped this once. Usually just flipping it once. You flip it, I don't know. I usually flip it twice. So this is my second time to flip it. And as you can see, it's getting nice and brown, so it's about ready to take out. But you can see this one's bleeding still. See that right there? That blood coming out? So that means it ain't ready, and it's a thicker piece. So what I would do, it looks like I probably want to turn it down. See how it's getting a little brown, really brown there. So I'm going to turn this down to about between 2 and 4, yeah. And then I'm going to get my lid and put on there, and that lid will seal in that heat and make sure that it gets done all the way through. So we'll just do it a couple more minutes and then we'll take it off. Let me see if I can pause this. Okay, I'm gonna turn this back on. These cast irons, even when you turn the stove down, they will hold heat for a good while. So I'm gonna move it off while it cools down a little bit because it was a little bit high. And while I am waiting on that to cool down just a tad bit, because I got my heat kind of high on there, I turned it down to close. It was between 4 and 6, so I turned it down to a 4. I'm gonna take some paper towel and put in a bowl here because I want it to soak up the grease. And so now take the lid off. And we got some nice, I wish y'all could smell it through the camera, nice brown chicken tenders. And they'll be done all the way through. Alright, while that pan's cooling just a little and catching up with the new heat that I've turned on, I'm going to go over and, actually it should be good. Alright, so I'm going to go over now and grab my other chicken tenders that I have already breaded. Hopefully y'all can see the pot and the, there you go, okay. And I'm going to take and be sure and shake all that flour off, or you'll have a lot in the bottom of your frying pan, and as it cooks, it'll start to burn that flour that's in the bottom of the pan. I don't know if you can see it, but if you don't shake it good, you'll have too much flour in the bottom of your pan, and it'll start burning in between the different groups of, you know, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times if you're doing a lot. So I fried one pan full, and here's the second pan that I'm doing, and I think I'll have one more pan to do. Joe and I really don't need this much. I don't know why I took this much out. I'm eating some for lunch though, and then we'll eat it for supper again, and then maybe he'll take some for his lunch too. So after all these years, I still haven't learned how to cook just a little bit for him and I. Sometimes I do, but I actually have one more breast to cut up. So while that's cooking, and since I did turn it down to 4, I'm going to put the lid back on it so it'll bring in some more of that heat. And then I'm going to take this thing. Boy, this tripod thing, I just don't know about it. What is that part for? To even make it longer? I guess so. Okay, well, we ain't going to do that. I am an amateur at this recording stuff, but I'm learning. Alright, so now we're back over here. I'm going to zoom up some. Let's get back to, you can't see the egg, huh? Okay. Are you going to be able to see me cutting up the chicken? Yeah, I think so. So as long as I move this out of the way. So I'm going to move this out of the way over here. So basically, just taking this chicken breast like this, throw these bags away. And some of this leaked on the countertop, so I'll have to get my bleach spray out and disinfect it. So I'm just going to take and chop this, or I really like to use this thing and this will get some frustration out, I'll tell you, buddy. And if you, Christopher, I think you got one of these. I bought you a set for Christmas, I think. So So this is a quick way, especially if you were, say for instance, you were cutting up something that you had, maybe some beef, beef roast. You could cut it up in a bunch of little small pieces and then cook it. And then you could make tacos out of it or something already cooked. This is good for. Anyway, I just wanted to show y'all that. It's not necessary for these, but I have something else that I use to get frustration out too sometimes. Joe gets scared when I get it out. Let me see if I can find it. My meat. Oh, this thing. So yeah, if you wanted to take if you wanted, like you didn't cut the chicken breast and it was whole and you wanted to flatten it out, you could use this. Flatten it out, and then that way you could roll it up, put something in there and roll it up, and then you could bread it and fry it and do the same thing. But we're not going to do that this time. I do it for chicken fried steaks too, when I get those thin steaks and pound them down and then fry them exactly like this, actually, to make chicken fried steak. So let's see how this is going over here while y'all look at that. Yeah. So I think that 4 is probably perfect temperature. I'm going to go ahead and I'm doing just an old cheap fashioned macaroni and cheese with this today, and then keeping it easy and simple because I've been working out in the yard. Some butter beans, canned butter beans. I'll be done. That way I'll have my cooking done, and then I can finish the house and maybe work outside some more because I have a couple loads of laundry that I need to fold and put up. And I spent most of my morning outside spreading chicken poop on the new okra and sunflower that I planted in my new garden. And then I also had to, did I already did this one? I think I did. Anyway, and then I had to go and get some sand and put in my garden and some of the in between the rows because it was just getting it got too wet. We left the sprinkler on last night, and then I'm noticing the water standing on top, and that's not good. So I got some more sand to put in between the rows just to help it drain some. I made about 2 loads, and then I'd had enough. Because I had sprained my wrist. I don't know if you can tell. It looks a little swollen. And it was kind of hard for me to do the shoveling. I shovel with my left hand, but I pick it up. I stick the shovel in my left hand, but I use my right hand to pick up the shovel and dump it or whatever, because you put the shovel in and then you have to use the other hand to lift it. So this is the right one's the one that was hurting, so I only was able to do 2 loads of sand, and then I had to stop. But I did spread out a whole giant wheelbarrow load of chicken poop and hay that Joe had got out of the coop for me, because those new rows that I made for the okra and the sunflower, the dirt is just it's not red. It's brand new dirt, so there's no nutrients in it. It's not real good dirt. It's dark, but it's kind of a clay dirt, so it needs working. So we put some manure in it. We'll see what we can grow in it this year, and then we'll start next year. Okra and sunflower is easy, so it'll help to condition the soil. Let's go over there and check on what we got frying up in the pan. Let's see. I just got flour everywhere. All right, let's look at this. Let's see. All right, can y'all see it? There we go. Back up some. That's the one in the pan. Can y'all see the pot? I wonder if y'all can. I'm not live, so it's not like I can hear what y'all are saying, but I think, ow, my back. Okay. I think that's a yes. Anyway, my tongs got flour. That's the only reason. See, if you got 2 pair of tongs, that's better. Those tongs got flour on them. I got another pair, so I'm lucky. Let's check it. I don't know if y'all can see down in there. Can y'all? Oh, there you go. Okay. So, that was much better temperature. These are frying good. So they might only take one flip. It looks like. Alright, let's put the lid back on those. That lid's heavy and that's the wrong wrist, so I have to do it with my left one. Alright. So let that cook up. I may even use the browned flour in the bottom. What I do is I can drain off some of the oil. I just drain it off in here, but I have a little strainer, so I try to save my oil sometimes. Still, I use a strainer. This thing right here. So I'll drain the oil off, and I'll use this strainer to keep some of that brown flour in there, and then I'll mix in some milk with that brown flour and some salt and pepper and make like a milk gravy. You can do that, or you can just get a little old cheap mix of chicken gravy mix that comes in the package. That's good too. Joe likes it when I make the milk gravy, especially with the chicken fried steaks, but I think we had that already last week, late or earlier this week. So I'll probably just get one of my little packages of chicken gravy mix, and I probably will mix it with I'll do the same thing, leave some of that browned flour in there, and then I'll mix that package of chicken gravy mix with some water and pour that in that browned flour after I drain the grease out. So I'll drain the grease out with this, leave some of the brown flour in there, mix the package of chicken gravy with water and pour it in there and make a gravy for the chicken, because we already had milk gravy, and then we'll have macaroni and cheese and butter beans. That's it. Tomorrow I will probably do some green tomatoes, and I can show y'all how to do that. Well, I don't know, Christopher, if you can get green tomatoes over there, but Michael, you can come and get green tomatoes for me or your dad, and you do it pretty much the same way, except the only difference is, so you're gonna need cornmeal. You're still gonna you're gonna dip these in flour first. That's what I do. Then I dip them in the milk and egg. Then I dip them in cornmeal. So cornmeal is the key on these because it makes them crispy on the outside, because they're going to be real juicy on the inside. So you need them to be crispy on the outside. The same thing with the squash. I do the okra the same way. So, but I dip it in the flour first because that helps to hold on the cornmeal, so the cornmeal don't fall off as much. So you dip it, slice these up, season them same way, dip them in flour, just the seasoned flour first, then dip them in your milk and your egg, then dip them in your cornmeal, and then they're ready to go. And be sure and shake them off good like we did with those chickens before we put them in here, so you don't have all that cornmeal on the bottom of your pan burning while you're cooking them. But again, Chris, if you don't have green tomatoes, I don't know if you can get okra in either over there, but you could probably get squash, and you do squash the same way, yellow squash, summer squash, and you can even do zucchini. So you can do zucchini. Zucchini is good if you use Italian breadcrumbs instead of the cornmeal, in place of the cornmeal, and then have you some either some marinara sauce or some. I like to use ranch, homemade ranch with these. When I fry these, I dip these in homemade ranch, and it talk about yummy. I use the Hidden Valley package. Let me show you. I better take these out real quick. Yeah, these are done. They look good too. I was hungry because I had been working outside. I worked out there probably about 2.5, 3 hours, and then I came in and took a bath, and I did color my hair because it was getting all gray. But I worked up an appetite, so I thought I'll go ahead and cook dinner early. Let me put these other ones on. All right, so I don't know if Michael told you, Chris, but I fell. I slipped in the bathtub, and I hit my head on the marble behind my bathtub, and I got a concussion. So I did that last Friday, and it's getting better now, but I was having some major dizzy spells getting up and down, just when I moved my head quick a certain way or whatever. And the first day after it happened, I was actually having slurred speech and a little blurry vision at the end of the day. So I was worried at first, but then I started reading on it, and there was really nothing the doctor could do. You just got to take it easy and let it heal itself. Don't do any major stuff. So that was last Friday. So I was better enough today to get out and work in my garden again without getting too dizzy or anything or worrying about anything. It's still some swollen in the back of my head and a little sore, but much better than it was after it first happened. Alright, so yeah, and then like 2 days later I sprained my wrist. I was like, good golly, Miss Molly. I ain't gonna get nothing done while I'm off if I keep injuring myself. Alright, so while that is cooking, I hate this stupid new coffee machine. One of them Keurig things. Ugh, I just assumed I had my old one because this don't work anyways. The pot quit working. Only the Keurig part works. And them little things are expensive. These little things right here. Oh my God. So, but what we did is we found one of these at the dollar store. And basically you can just use regular coffee in it. Can you see it? We just put the regular coffee in there and put it in there when we run out of them stupid pods, because them things, man, they're expensive. Anyway, I was going to show you I always keep, so I just took an old mayonnaise jar, and because it takes like a cup of mayonnaise, and then milk, and then a package of that Hidden Valley ranch, and then I make my own ranch dressing, and it is really good. And you just gotta shake it every time you use it, but it's good for either chicken tenders or fried green tomatoes. But anyway, oh, it's good for fresh cucumbers. I got a lot of fresh cucumbers out of my garden this year. I pulled them up yesterday, though, all except for one. I may plant some more, though. But that's it on frying the chicken tenders. I think y'all got it. I don't need to show y'all how to make box macaroni and cheese, because y'all already know how to do that, I'm sure. And the butter beans, I'll show y'all one day how I do the homemade butter beans, but today I'm just doing the canned ones. It looks like kind of early to flip them, but it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and flip them since I got the lid off. I don't know what I did with my food. This is my, I know my video is probably too long, But I'm just trying to practice on making videos, so if y'all don't watch it, that's okay. But y'all can tell me what I need to fix or do different on them. It's nice to have videos. One day when I'm not here, y'all have videos. Alright. I'm going to put this back on. Wait for it to get done, and I'm fixing to chow. Bye, guys.